to Beyond the Cowl. Today we are making this lovely ridged hexagonal hot pad as part of our series on hexagons. So I'm making this one with you today, and Sammy is making the Skew Whiff Hexagon. You may remember the Skew Whiff being done in a triangle and a circle, and last year in a square. So if you want to check that out, the link for that is in the description box below, and also on our playlist for hexagons. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about this ridged hexagon, and then I'll show you how to make it. So stay tuned. So today's pattern is for the ridged hexagonal hot pad. That's a bit of a mouthful. So it's a hexagon, a 4-hour month of hexagons. It is by Carol Schoenfelder. I hope I've said that correctly. At Ravelry. There will be a link in the description box below. Do check that out and go and have a look at Carol's other wonderful designs there. It is designed to be used as a hot pad, and so for that we recommend you use cotton yarn. So I've just got some regular cotton, craft cotton here. It's a DK light worsted weight cotton yarn. You could use any thickness of yarn you prefer, but for hot things, cotton is the preferred choice because acrylic and other fibres can melt under high heat. If you want to just make it as a regular hexagon to add to the rest of the hexagons we're making, to then join them together and maybe make a blanket or a bag or something, then you just go ahead and use your regular yarn. If you've never used cotton before and you've decided to use it today with us, then just be aware that cotton can split slightly. So if you're not familiar with using cotton, I would recommend that you go up half a hook size than the yarn recommends, unless you're an experienced crocheter, and then you can probably just get on with it anyway. I'm using a 4.5mm hook. This yarn recommends a 4 to 5mm hook, so I use 4.5 in the middle there. Okay, so that's about all to say, other than you may wish to have a stitch marker to help. We are going to be using single crochets, or in UK terms that's a double crochet, so you may wish to use a stitch marker to mark the first stitch of the round. Other than that, you might want to grab a cup of tea, and that's it. Let's get going and have a look at how this lovely is made. So with this pattern, you can stop at any time when it's the size that you wish. So you could make this as a coaster, you could make it as big as a placemat, or somewhere in between as a hot pad. So you can start with either the magic ring, or you can chain 4 and then slip stitch in your first stitch to form a ring. So I'm going to use the magic ring today just for a change. And I always do a chain 1 to secure my magic ring. There we go. Okay, so you can do a chain 1 if you prefer. If not, we're going to go straight into making a single crochet. So it's up to you whether you do a chain 1 or you just go straight into a single crochet. So we're going to do 6 times a single crochet and a chain 1. Now your chain 1, don't make them too small or too tightly, because you do need to work into your chains in the next round, or every round after this we'll be working into our chain, so don't make it too tight. So single crochet, chain 1, and the second time single crochet, chain 1, third time single crochet, chain 1, fourth single crochet, chain 1, 5 single crochet, oops, chain 1, 6 single crochet, chain 1. Okay, let me just untangle my yarn. Look. So then whatever type of ring you're using, just pull it tighter. If you've got the chain 4 and slip stitch, you can still pull that a bit tighter. And then you want to do a slip stitch into your first single crochet that you made. Okay, slip stitch into that first single crochet. And this is where cotton can be a little harder to work with because it doesn't have that stretch that acrylic and other sort of fibres have. So just take your time and slip stitch. And there we go. Pull that centre in. There we go. So you've now got 6 single crochets and 6 chain ones. Okay, so we are going to turn our work every round. So we'll be working one way and then we'll be working the other way. Okay, so we're going to turn our work and chain 1. Okay, and then we're also going to work into the back loop only and into the stitches and the chains. Okay, that's a little different to how you might be used to working, but that's what we're going to do, and it will work into a lovely little hexagon. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is I'm going to show you the front and back loops. You might be familiar with this. If you are already, then just hold on 1 second while I just show those that don't. So the first place we're going to work is into this chain. So this is the last chain we made, because if we turn it back, you can see we did a stitch and a chain to finish. Okay, we're going to work into that chain first. And if I just show you, if I come close to the camera and it decides to focus, regularly you have here 2 loops per chain or per stitch. You've got this one closest to you, and then you've got the one furthest away. If I show you on this stitch, actually, the camera's picking that stitch up a bit better. So you've got this one closest to you, and you've got the one furthest away. Normally we work under both loops, but we're just going to work in that one that's furthest away, okay? And we're going to do that for the stitch and the chain. So in this first one here, which is a chain, we're going to go into that back loop. Might be a bit tricky to start with, and this is why you needed to make your chains not too small or tight. And then make a single crochet through just that back loop. And then this is where you might want to pop your stitch marker on your first stitch, just so you know where you are when you come back round to the end. Okay, so then you're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, the back loop only, so not the 2 strands, just that one at the back. Go under there and do a single crochet. So we've done 2 single crochets so far, and then we're going to chain 1, but we're not going to skip any stitches here. We're just going to continue working around. So we've done 2 stitches and then a chain, and then we're going to go into the next 2 and we're going to do a single crochet in that back loop of these 2. 1 and 2. Okay, and then chain 1. And remember not to make them too small. And then into the next 2, 1 in each of those back loops, single crochet, and the next one, single crochet, and chain 1. The next 2, 1 in each of the back loops, the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. So I say stitches, but one will be a stitch and one will be a chain, okay? But we don't worry about whether they're a stitch or a chain, we just work along and round. Okay, so we've done 2 stitches and then a chain 1. And then we're going to do 2 more stitches, 1 in each of the next 2. And then chain 1 and 1 in each of the next 2. So just wiggle your hook under there if it's a bit tight, and chain 1. And then we're back to the beginning. So we are going to slip stitch in the back loop of our first stitch. And we're going to do it into the back loop so that we continue to keep this ridge that we've made. Okay, so if you look at this first stitch here that you made, go into the back loop, and do a slip stitch, and that leaves us our ridge that we've already got. So see if the camera can pick this up. I'll bring this closer. The camera wants to focus. We have around here, there's a little ridge of a hexagon, and that's where we've left that front loop, and it's just made a line leaving our front loop behind. See if the camera can pick that up. Okay, the back is all flat and smooth, and this side has that ridge. Well, I say the back, although technically this is the back because that's where the tail is, but this is completely reversible, so it will be once we've sewn the tail in. Okay, so that was round 2. Okay, so you should have 12 stitches and 6 chains on this last round. So we're going to work in a very similar way to before. We're going to turn our work around and chain 1, and then we're going to, as before, work into the back loop of that first chain. So it was the last chain we made on the previous round, but it's going to be our first stitch in this round. Okay, so go into that back loop. My chain went a little small, so it's not quite so easy to get into. So a single crochet in that first chain. Okay, and again, you might want to pop a stitch marker on there. You might find that you don't need it, but it can be helpful to some people. Okay, and then we're going to work 3 stitches along this time. So you want to do a second stitch, so go into the next, and then into the back loop of the next stitch or chain, whatever it happens to be. I decided that I wasn't going to worry about whether it was a stitch or a chain. I was just going to see the next loops on top and work into the back of it. I kind of sort of went a little dotty, thinking about whether it was going to be the stitch or a chain. So I decided it wasn't worth worrying about and just working along. Okay, so you've done 3 stitches and now chain 1. And then we're going to do 3 more stitches around, so into the back loop of the next stitch. Remember, I'm just calling them stitches, whatever they might be. Okay, and now into the next back loop for a second, and into the next back loop for a third. Oops. And then chain 1. And then you're going to work this all the way around, 3 stitches, chain 1, 3 stitches, chain 1. When you come around near to the end, I will come back to join you for finishing off the round. Okay, so I've done all of my stitches and chains, and now I do have this here, which can look like a stitch, but it's my slip stitch. Okay, so if you're not sure whether it should be another stitch in there, whether you've missed one or not, count the tops of your stitches and chains, and you should have 24 altogether. So you'll have 18 single crochets and 6 chain 1s, but you'll have 24 tops. So just count back, and if you've got 24, then be assured that's your slip stitch. Okay, which looks a bit like a stitch, but it's just faking there. Okay, so I'm just going to make this last chain slightly bigger. Slightly bigger. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take this stitch marker off, and then we're going to slip stitch in that back loop of that first stitch we made. Just, oh, that's not the back loop because it's twisted over slightly, so let's find that back loop and slip stitch. There we go. So that is round 3, and this is a great pattern for remembering what round you're on, because we did 3 stitches there and that was round 3. The previous round was round 2 and we did 2 stitches, so it's very easy to remember. So this is what we have so far. You can see it's starting to make this hexagon shape. We've got roughly these 6 sides. Okay, and we've got this ridge here from leaving those front loops there. You can see that ridge, and then on the other side we've got that ridge in the center. So each side will have a ridge for every 2 rows. Okay, because we're turning, every other row you'll get a ridge. Okay, so let me show you how to start the next round, and then it will soon be time to just leave you on your merry way to continue. Okay, round 4. As I just said about the stitch count, that will mean that we are making 4 stitches on this round. So turn your work, chain 1, and then we're going to work into that very first chain, just as we always have. So work into that first chain and make a single crochet, and then 3 more, so we have 4 in total. 2, 3 and 4, and then chain 1. Okay, and then continue that around 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1. So continue this all around, 4 stitches, chain 1, 4 stitches, chain 1, all the way around to the end, and then you're going to slip stitch in the back loop of your first stitch. I'll see you round to the end. Okay, I have finished round 4, and I've just zoomed in to show you this little beauty. So look, you can see now, you can perfectly see how it's becoming hexagonal, and I love it. Love it, so clever. So you can see here on the back here, this side, we've now got that center ridge. So that's first or second round we did, and then we've got one here on this side we've just done. So we skipped around here where the ridge formed on the other side. Okay, so now we will be working, we'll be turning our work, and the ridge will form on the outer rim of this side. Okay, so you want to do exactly as you've just been doing. You want to start with turning your work, and you're like this, turn your work, chain 1, and then do your single crochet into your first chain, and then you're going to work 5 along. This is round 5, so you're going to work 5 along, and then you're going to chain 1, and then work another 5, chain 1 and another 5. Okay, so that is how you're going to work it. Now the person who tested, Kelly, found that she needed 10 rounds. Remember, we've just done 4. She needed 10 rounds with using this same weight yarn and a 4.5mm hook, and hers measured 5.5 inches from side to side, 5.5 inches and 6 inches point to point, by doing 10 rounds. So I'm going to continue working this. You can work it to whatever size you want. You could make it, like I said, just big enough for a coaster. You could make it for a table mat, or you could make it for a hot pad somewhere in the middle. So entirely up to you how few or how many rounds you make. I'm going to do a few more rounds so I can show you how it looks with all the ridges working up on each side. Okay, I'll see you soon. So here is my finished hexagon after 10 rounds, so finishing with 10 stitches per side, and I love it. It's got so much texture. So if I bring this up to the camera, hopefully you can see that we have these sort of ridges going on. I turn it there, you can see the ridges, and on the other side as well. So once this tail is sewn in, it will be completely reversible, and it's got a nice sort of thickish texture that would be great for using as a hot pad. Equally as good for adding to a blanket though. Mine has come up slightly smaller than what I told you earlier that came up for Kelly, but we all vary in tension and everything, so they're just approximate sizes. So that is our pattern today. The second hexagon for today is the Skew Whiff Hexagon, an old favourite which we've seen in a few different variations of square last year, circle and triangle this year, and now the hexagon Skew Whiff. So go have a look at that. There will be a link up the top here or in the description below for that Skew Whiff hexagon today. And we'll be back next time with another couple of hexagons for you. So if you've made this, I would love to see what colour you've made it in, whether you've changed colour each round or every couple of rounds, or whether you've made it all in one colour. If you have made it, then pop a photo in our Facebook group, link in the description box below, or on Instagram with #BeyondTheCow. If you have enjoyed this tutorial, found it useful and helpful, then please click that like button and give us a thumbs up as always. And until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold.